Hi guys, my name is Mila and here on YouTube I create videos about traveling and also side hustling, so if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And in today's video I'm gonna show you how to create a travel budget. Nowadays I usually always create a travel budget before I book any trip. I like to do this because, as many of us, I also have a limited amount of money to spend on my travels, so I want to make sure that the place that I'm going to is within my budget and that I save enough money for me to survive on that trip or to enjoy that trip. So when you plan a trip and when you plan a travel budget, there are different categories that you need to consider for your budget. So those are transportation, accommodation, food, activities, and also how long you're gonna stay in a destination. So firstly, I'm gonna start recording my screen so you can see, because for this budget we're gonna open a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter if you have an Excel, Google Sheets or Apple spreadsheet, any spreadsheet will work for this purpose. So I have made a how to create a travel budget spreadsheet here, as you can see in Google Sheets, and for the purpose of this video I'm gonna choose Japan as an example. Japan seems like an interesting country. I would love to visit there sometime, and yeah, let's just see how much a trip to Japan would cost. So firstly, we need to take into consideration the transportation costs. So how much would it cost for us to get to the destination of our choosing? So for this example, I like to use Skyscanner and Momondo for this, especially if it's like flights. So of course, since I live in Finland and I would like to go to Japan, we need to book a flight there. So for that purpose I'm gonna check. So I live in Finland, as I said, so my main airport is Helsinki-Vantaa, as you can see here. And let's see how much it would cost for us to get to Tokyo. So if I would go to Tokyo for, let's say, 2 weeks in April, that's when it's the cherry blossom season in Japan, so I think that would be a great time to go to Japan. So let's say that we're gonna leave on a Tuesday the 5th and then come back 2 weeks later on the 19th. How much would that cost us? So here we have a direct flight for 800 euros. And as you can see, since I'm using Skyscanner here, the prices go down as we wait. So we have a direct flight for 777 euros, which is not that bad. We need to consider the time it takes for us to get there. So here we have a cheap option, but this is with 20 hours. I wouldn't want to spend doubled amount of time. Well, for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say that I would like to have this direct flight from Helsinki to Tokyo. But is there any other options than Tokyo in Japan? Akita, I don't know. There is Hiroshima with one stop. Okay, so as you can see here, it would make no sense to fly into Hiroshima with one stop since I can get to Tokyo directly, so we're gonna put that in here. So to get to Tokyo and back to Helsinki, that would cost us 777. But besides Tokyo, since we have 2 weeks in Japan, I would also like to visit some other places as well on the same trip. So I would maybe like to visit Kyoto and Hiroshima. So how much does it cost for me to get from Tokyo to Kyoto and then to Hiroshima and then back to Tokyo? So let's see, we have Google Maps here, and as you can see, Tokyo. So Tokyo to Kyoto, that seems like a okay amount of that seems like something we could do on train maybe. So Rome to Rio I think is great for checking different ways of transportation, different transportation options between like two cities or two destinations within a country. So here you can see I have checked from Tokyo to Kyoto. So that would be like 2 hours with the train, and that would, we're expected to pay about 85 to 130 euros. So I always like to make sure that I have enough space in my budget, enough like that I have budgeted enough. So I'm gonna just choose this higher amount because we never know, you never know, it can be that one. So from Tokyo to Kyoto with train would be 130 euros. Then we have Hiroshima, which where is it? Oh, it's here. So from Kyoto to Hiroshima, that's a pretty that's not so far away. So can we get to Kyoto, from Kyoto to Hiroshima as well? Yes, that's 1 hour and 40 minutes. So we're expected to pay about 65 to 95 euros. So for the sake again of this video, I'm gonna put 95 euros, but because you always want to have enough money when you're traveling. So Kyoto to Hiroshima. With train would be 95 euros. And then I checked that the amount from Hiroshima to Tokyo, that's pretty far away. Can we get from Hiroshima to Tokyo? Train, that's almost 4 hours. Night bus, well, I don't want to sit on a bus. I'm not gonna drive. Can we have a train? Okay, so that's very expensive. As you can see, the train from Hiroshima to Tokyo will be about 140 euros, which is quite a lot. So let's see if we can go do that by flight maybe. And for flights, I like to use Skyscanner and also Momondo. But we're gonna check. So we have Hiroshima. Yes, they have an airport to Tokyo. Tokyo, any, and one way. So let's say we're gonna be back to Tokyo if we stay there on the 18th. Okay, so we have 90 euros. That seems doable. 74. Yes, let's say that. So I'm just gonna round it to 75 for the flight from Hiroshima to Tokyo flight. Yes. So we have 75 euros. So now we have the transportation, except if you're gonna do like any Ubers, taxis or whatever, but I think those can be calculated in the daily budget that we're gonna check just in a minute. But for this we have like the basic, you know, the route and the transportation for that. So we have our flights to the destination, we have the transportation within the country that we're traveling to, and now let's get to the next part. So let's talk about the daily budget that we're gonna spend on a trip. So right now we're lucky enough to live in a day and age where we can check pretty much any information on the internet. So we're just gonna Google. We're gonna Google how much we need to travel Japan. And there are so many resources available online. There are blog posts and YouTube videos, forums, and just people are discussing everything. They're sharing information online. So let's take that use that as an advantage here. I know, of course, the destinations might have like different price ranges, and of course you need to consider what kind of traveler you are. Do you want to eat in luxury restaurants? Do you want to stay in luxury hotels, or are you more of a budget traveler who likes to stay in hostels? Maybe you're couch surfing, maybe you enjoy eating street food, which often is very cheap in many places around the world. So those are things that you need to consider. Travel budgets are not gonna be the same for everyone, so consider what kind of traveler you are. I would say for myself, I'm kind of a mid-range traveler. I like to stay on a budget. I'm not someone who wants to eat fancy dinners or stay at fancy hotels all the time. I like to travel on a budget. I like to eat street food, and I like to drink beer instead of fancy drinks most of the time. And if there are activities, some pricier activities that I really want to do in a destination, I'm happy to pay for that. I want to enjoy my travel, so I'm not the most budget friendly traveler, but I'm not like a luxurious bougie traveler either. So I'm like a mid-range, let's say. Yeah. So let's say we have 14 days in Japan, and then let's see, I have googled here Japan daily travel budget. So how much would we need to travel Japan? We're gonna do a bit of Googling here, just a bit of research. So here's someone's blog from November, so that's pretty recent. We have this one. So there are so many resources, so many blog posts about this topic, and we also have like a Japan guide thing here with the sample daily budget as well. So here you can see there's a low budget traveler, medium budget traveler, high budget travel, and single traveler or two travelers. Even though I would travel together with my boyfriend, we always share or split the cost of everything, so neither of us pay more than the other. We of course would share a hotel room and share maybe some activity costs and stuff like that. So let's see. So here we can see the cost of accommodation, cost of transportation. She has written a very good blog post about these things. And then we also have these ads and food and everything. I think she has a total down here as well. So average amount spent in Japan is 95 USD. I guess that's USD, so that's not bad. So average daily cost would be 14,000 yen. Let's put that into euro, which is my currency. Hello. Euro 117. Here we have a reasonable average 70 to 250. So since I'm like in the mid-range, lower mid-range, I would say I'm gonna just say that we're gonna spend 100 euros per day. That makes it easy. So then we have daily budget 100 euros. So that's a total of 1,400 euros. So now, if there are any activities, we need to add that as well into the budget. So I have done a bit of research, and something that would be very fun to do in Japan is of course all that, like the Disneyland of Japan, but also doing like a go-kart thing in Japan. So driving on the roads with a go-kart, that will be fun. So here we have something about that. Do we have like a price? So of course these budgets and planning your trip, you need to do some research before any trip. So if there are any specific activities like surfing, guided tours, maybe some pricier hikes or day trips, maybe some canyoneering, climbing, maybe you're gonna do scuba diving, anything like that that is not like a museum fee that still goes into a daily budget because that's so low. But if there are any pricier activities that you like to do on your trip, then you need to account that as well into your budget. So for the go-kart, here you can see that it's about 60 euros, so I'm gonna put that into here. Go-kart, 60 euros. So now we have kind of a good base for a travel budget. We have the flights, we have the transportation within the country, we have like a basic daily budget that we can try to follow, and also we have the activity. So we're gonna just check how much that would be. So just plus like that gives us 2,537 euros and 0 cents. So I'm gonna put here what it will be in USD and in Great British Pound here. So as you can see, this is a good base for a budget. This would be 14 days in Japan, traveling to Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, and of course we can check daily budgets for each of these places, but this is a good basic range. I would say, of course, Tokyo is apparently supposed to be a bit more expensive than other cities in Japan, but still I think 100 euros should get us by in Japan. And now we can of course go more deeper into the travel budget. We can check specific hotel prices and hostel prices. You can go into Trivago or Booking or Agoda or Hostel World to check prices for a dorm room, a hotel, or if you want to do couch surfing, then you can of course take your accommodation from your budget. But this, I think, gives us a good base on what we should aim to save before the trip. So guys, I hope this gave you some basic information on how to create your own travel budget for your next trip, so you know how much you need to save up before traveling. And I hope you enjoy this video. If you enjoy watching travel videos, then definitely consider subscribing to my channel. I enjoy making travel videos, so you know that's a good match right there. I also make videos about side hustling, so you can save some money for your next trip. I will insert a video here that I think you might like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!